Guess who's back? Back again. Brother Ron. Oh, tell a friend. Guess who's back and still black? Guess who's back and still black? I'm reddish. I'm a red bone, I guess. But I'm still blackety black. This is your friend, Brother Ron. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Papa got a brand new bag, man. Brother Ron is on that kick. It said it takes what 21 days to form and break a habit. Trying to make these habits of achievement take off for me. Learned that from my Jegna. I'm about to say mentor, my Jegna. The one and only James McLeod, Dean McLeod. And just want to share some things with you all. There's a lot going on in the world today. It's a lot to talk about today, but it's all about you. Really, it's all about me today. This is Brother Ron. I just want to talk about some things that's been on my mind. Maybe this can inspire people out there. Words do create worlds. And today's topic is when the what? Let me make sure I got it right. I got my notes somewhere. When the paranormal and supernatural becomes normal, a Brother Ron story. Just I got a testimony. Just want to share some things. Everybody's going through something right now at this particular moment in so-called time. A lot of us feel like we're alone out there, that nobody hears what's going on or see. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. You could be wrong about that. People always trying to pray for people downfalls, like what's going on, whether it be a Trump, whether it be a Diddy, whether it be even you, people looking for your downfall. But I always tell people your haters are your biggest fans, they're your biggest supporters. Hate is not the opposite of love. There's a very extreme form of love. The opposite of love is indifference. Hate is an emotion, it's a feeling. Um, it's a form of love. So your haters are your biggest fans. The great Kobe Bean Bryant, late great Bean Bryant, overstood, understood, and understood that. At one point he was the face of the NBA before all those. Oh, here you go, trying to mess with the messenger and trying to distort the message, but we will not lose. Let me come on in and out. I'll be right back. Like I was saying, I'm trying to mess with my stream. I rebuke the devil in the name of universal God. Thank you, Sister Yvette. I am back and I'm all the way live. This is We All Be in it to win it. And let me just start it off because it's gonna be like a short show, but I have some stories to tell. I want to start with what is the definition? Because words create worlds, right? Let me see. What's the definition? Wow, things are really getting glitchy out here. Hope stay tuned, everybody. Just trying to get back on board. We talking about paranormal, right? I'm trying to find a definition of paranormal. Paranormal, adjective. Hope y'all can see on y'all end. Things kind of getting glitchy out here on my end. I'll tell you, these topics are something else. But breaking down the definition of paranormal, denoting events or phenomena such as telekinesis or clairvoyance that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding. They gave some examples. A mystic who can prove he has paranormal powers, an investigator of the paranormal. So that's paranormal, denoting events or phenomena such as telekinesis or clairvoyance, that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding. Okay, so let's find the definition of what supernatural is, right? Are y'all with me? I at church say, whoa, what's going on? Kind of having some technical difficult technical difficulties on my end. Okay, I'm back. My laptop is acting really crazy right now. I don't know because the topic that I'm trying to talk about, laptop is being real glitchy, but we're gonna roll through it, roll with it. We're gonna roll with it. So let's see, what is the definition of supernatural? Let's see the definition of supernatural. Okay, is an adjective. We know that, right? We know that is an adjective, right? It says adjective of a manifestation or event attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature, a supernatural being. Once again, definition of supernatural is an adjective of a manifestation or event attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature, a supernatural being. Okay. And no, President Harry Truman once said something to the effect, the only thing new is the history that we don't know, right? So we're gonna get into this. I think I'm not. What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you for tuning out to tune in and get in where you fit in. Please enjoy. It's gonna be an interesting ride. Now, let me see something. I'm trying to see something. I don't know if I'm getting glitchy on my side, but hopefully I'm trying to correct it in one, two, three, four, five. Guess who's biz back and still black? So let me talk about within the hour about my story, a brother Ron story. There are many stories and versions of the brother Ron story, but this is a brother Ron story. It's not the definitive brother Ron story by any means. But I just wanted to share this. This was on my spirit tonight to share this with you all about some of my unique supernatural and paranormal experiences, even recently. You know, not nothing years ago. I have some stories from years ago, but I'll say that for another time. But I just want to talk about some recent things that have happened to yours truly as I get everything. Just dealing with some trippy Wi-Fi on my end, which is more than usual at this point. But I hope y'all can see me and hear me fine. I want to talk about this situation or talk about my a version of my life story, trying to make it happen. And it's always fun when you do a live. It's always fun doing a live. There's nothing boring about a live because anything can happen at any time on a live. I'm trying to make sure everything's playing. But yeah, I have a couple stories there. But I want to talk about, people, it's a lot of spiritual people out there. People say they don't go to church and whatnot. Very spiritual people, right? Okay, I'm gonna roll with it. It's like everything's fine is in. But I want to let y'all understand the power that you have as an individual because it's me and myself and I, right? Like people always say, you are in the presence of God if two or more gather in God's name. You are always in the presence of God. You are a temple that God resides in. You understand? Because if me, myself, and I, everything's about threes, the Trinity, whatever. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, or I look at the Trinity as the black man, woman, and child. But you are always gathered in the presence of God because you are a reflection. You are God resides in you. Your body is your temple. It's a temporary temple for the energy, that God energy. But like, how do you manifest it for your good so you be of use for the greater good? How do you use that God force, that energy, the inner G? See what I just said? Inner G, that inner God. How do you access that for your good before anybody else? Because what I have learned as a recovering people pleaser, that it's important to show love and self-care and self-help towards yourself before you could help anybody else. It's better if you can be of service and of help to yourself, because that's your wealth. Because people could be, you could be so-called materialistic wealthy, have resources, but if you don't treat your temple right, if you don't treat that energy right, then it is all for naught. Because like it says, what profits a man to gain the world but to lose his soul? So you got to keep that universe soul God energized from within to manifest what you want. And I want to talk about something. I took a trip recently to Chicago, that toddling town. I never really actually been explored Chicago until this summer, back in June of 2024. And I will always, you stop at the airport, whatever. But to really go into the city of Chicago and its outer surroundings was an amazing experience. Do not let the legacy media propagandize you against visiting Chicago or learning about Chicago. Chicago is a very phenomenal place. Arguably, I think it's America's greatest city. It is the heartland of America. It's the heart chakra of America. People are talking about New York or Los Angeles, but Chicago is in the middle of the country. It's the heart chakra of the country. Whatever goes on in Chicago, it affects the rest of the country. So I went there and I got a practice where I loved going, on my own history tours. Like I love visiting cemeteries. I got a favorite spot here in Memphis, Tennessee, Elmwood Historic Cemetery. I believe it's the first acknowledged cemetery within city limits in Memphis, Tennessee, known as the City of Good Abode. And I like to go there sometimes just to meditate, to eat lunch, and meditation includes playing my trumpet, cornet, speaking in tongues, and just being quiet and sitting still and letting Mother Nature do what it does, inspire. So that's my thing. So I go around the country going to historic cemeteries, looking at the graves and the final so-called resting places of celebrities, historic figures, and stuff like that, eating lunch as I do these things. I found very relaxing and meditative and rejuvenating. Because people say, well, cemeteries are places where dead things reside. There's no life. That's not true. If there's only death in cemeteries, there could not be any trees, any grass, insects, and other animals are in cemeteries. It's actually a chance to tap into some energy. So you think about one tragic, what a tragic life is to me. Is a life that was not lived with some type of purpose. I often wonder when I visit cemeteries, how many people are in their so-called final resting places? How many of those people never realized their true potential, never actualized and realized their dreams? What were they? I love just going to cemeteries and looking at, especially markers with people's photographs or images reflective of said deceased loved one, and just trying to look at that. There was sunrise when they was born, you got that dash, and then you got the sunset when they died. I'm fascinated about what that dash was that was supposed to be their life. What did they do in that dash before they checked out of here? And did they lead a happy existence? Were they of service to their fellow human being? Did they do the things they wanted to do, or did they feel like they were trapped in a role? Did they feel like that they could never satisfy anybody, including themselves? Did they feel like that they was too afraid to be themselves? I mean, even though life is short, I don't care if you live to be 100 years old or just 100 days old. Life is not long enough. So, like, I don't waste my time anymore worrying about what people may think about me, because what people think about me it's none of my business. It's none of my business how people view me. It's none of my business. My business is how I view myself and what I do with myself. It has nothing to do with other people. That go for family, friends, and strangers. Whatever you think about me, you know, a lot of times when people say things about you or they think certain things about you, it speaks of projection. They're projecting things. They're dealing with or not dealing with their own insecurities. So I can't do nothing, because like, even if you're a true spiritual person, for me to really be a spiritual person means I don't have worries. Hakuna Matata. I have concerns, but I do not worry. I don't worry about my loved ones. I don't worry about anybody. I don't worry about myself, because worry speaks to a lack of faith in self and faith in a higher power. I don't do the worry thing no more. I learned not to worry, because if God got you, and God knows all, right? If you believe like that, that means worry to me is about trying to control things or trying to figure out things that are not in your control. So I don't do the worry thing no more. It's not worth worrying. I just do the living thing. I'm about live it. Some people say diet. Like my person, comrade, Law Dog, she would say live it. I'm about to live it. I don't diet. I live. And like some elders would tell me, the best way to live is to do what you want to do, but learn how to do a lot of what you want to do in moderation. You know, enjoy, take it all in. So with this said, I want to talk about how my faith has grown a lot in the last just even year or several months, dealing with so-called the paranormal or the supernatural. And I talked about I went to Chicago. So what I did was I spent some time with my first cousin. We had a first cousins reunion, the first one we had on my father's side. Great stuff. We had fun in Chicago. Perfect place to have reunions. But after we went beyond, when we separated and went back to our destinations, our homes and whatnot, I decided to stay a little bit longer in the Chicago land area. So I went to cemeteries, and I went to visit Ida B. Wells Barnett, one of my Black History Dream girls, in her so-called final resting place with her husband in Chicago on the South Side. And I believe it was on the South Side, but you know. Then I went to Al Capone, Al Capone's mansion, one of his homes when he first came to Chicago, whatnot. He had this would have been a mansion back then, his multi-layer home that his family, like his mom and they, you know, his family, he had a large family, stayed at this home, this so-called mansion that still stands. Like they knocked down his mansion down there near Miami. They actually knocked that down recently. People were trying to save that mansion, but they knocked it down. But this one's still standing, you know, from the time he moved there to Chicago. And it was interesting going there. Then I went to Emmett Till's childhood home. I mean, the home he was living in before he got killed in Mississippi. That was very interesting going there. And then I went to visit the grave, the final resting place. I don't believe death is final. Death is not final. Death is just the beginning. Energy can't die. You know, I don't care if you know science and all. You can't kill energy. And like these are just temporary shells anyway. This is a temporary vessel, but your soul, your energy, you can't kill it. And so I went to there, and I just want to play some things I did at his grave and talk about some of my practices when it comes to dealing with spirituality, connecting with the other side, and all that stuff, and some of my testimony behind that. But let me play this clip. Because I didn't see this until I started editing my video, and I did not edit whatever. I saw this green orb flying around in the video I did at Emmett Till's grave. Now the computer is flicking and flocking on my end. Man, I started talking about stuff started happening, man. Let me see if I can get the screen. and y'all can't see it, but the screen kind of going in and out on my end as I talk about this with y'all. See if I can work through it. Just trying to blank out. Yeah, I know things, man. So much stuff goes on. I can't talk about everything that I have experienced, but it's an interesting ride. But I want to play this. This was at Emmett Till's grave, June the 30th of 2024. I noticed something that was interesting. Look at the tree. When I play it, I'm singing like, I know it was the blood, but look at the tree and look at this object, this little orb, this circle object is moving around. That's not me. I did not edit that into the footage. This is from the raw footage I took. And I just noticed it when I started to try to edit the film for Emmett Till's birthday. He would have been 83 years young on July 25th. And this was taken back in June 30th of this year. And so I noticed there was a green orb, there's a circle that's moving around. I could have said it was from the sun, but it's like it was so independent from the sun the way it was moving around the screen. Look at the tree. And this is that near right. This tree is right at the location where Emmett Till remains are buried. So I'm gonna play this and we'll get back to it. And I know it was the blood. I know it was the blood. I know it was the blood for me. One day when I was lost, he died upon the cross. And I know it was the blood for me. Goodbye for now, Brother Emmett. Until we meet again, we love you madly, and the marathon continues. I want to play this one more time. I'm gonna play it one more time. Cause I want y'all to see that green orb that's moving on light green or light, that little circle that's moving around seems to be an independent entity from the sun, the way it's moving. And it's a orb, right? They call them orbs. Sometimes you can see them in your photographs and video. You can see them in pictures you took. You see these orbs, and some people believe these are spirits or some type of presence. There's the unexplainable, some type of paranormal, supernatural thing. But I'm gonna play this one more time. And I know it was the blood. I know it was the blood. I know it was the blood for me. One day when I was lost, he died upon the cross. And I know it was the blood for me. Goodbye for now, Brother Emmett. Until we meet again, we love you madly, and the marathon continues. Okay, so let me see. Stop sharing it. I'm screen acting up again. Come on, screen. Don't do that to me, man. Come on, screen. Yeah. So that what happened on June 30th. That I didn't notice that there was a orb moving around like that. And I did some research on what that orb represented to me. Like it was a light greenish orb. And allegedly that's in some interpretations that is this the represents the angel, the archangel Raphael. The archangel Raphael is represented by green. So there's like a light green orb. Some people say it's a light, clear, whatever. But I looked at it as green. And it's interesting. I thought about that. But then I spoke some tongues at Emmett Till's grave as well, too. I want to play that as well if I can find that. Let me see. I'll find it. I think I uploaded it. I don't know if I uploaded it. But also, let me show you a picture. I went to Al Capone's home, like I talked about in Chicago. I'm gonna show that. Like I said, it's like paranormal, supernatural, everything. Like Baba Dick Gregory used to tell me, like, you got the magic glasses. When the universe decides to put the magic glasses on you, you can't make people see what you see. I'm not interested in trying to get people to agree with what I'm seeing. I'm just more interested in sharing the information out there. So if people have experienced some unexplained activity or phenomenon, they don't feel like they're alone. Because I have experienced a lot in my life, my 44 years of living, some unusual events and things and phenomena that I'm sure a lot of other people have experienced. But I just want to make this the normal of let's talk about this stuff. Let's have disclosure about these things. Don't keep it to yourself. So it's very important. Yeah, the green injury, but it's like, I want to explain why that's significant because I interpret it as light green coming through, Brother Rashawn. Um, and like I said, they said it's Archangel Raphael, and he's the angel that's responsible for healing and nature and stuff like that. That's his call. I'm gonna explain why I think that's significant for me. Hey, Golden Aries, thank you for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in. One love. Golden Aries, okay. So all day today, I couldn't hang on my phone. Had to tell the caller to hang their phone. Oh, why are they so obsessed with you? I want to really know. You're just a likable person, Sister Yvette. That's how it is. You're just popular in demand. Good people. People love to be in company of good people. But let me see. I want to share. Okay, I'll share this picture. I'm trying to find that other Emmett Till thing I did. But let me share this picture. What I thought was interesting. This is me in front of Al Capone's home. I took several pictures and I noticed there was an orb at the bottom. If you look down at on my right arm, like with my arm, like it's like it'd be left, but it's right. I'm facing the camera. It's my right side. There's an orb at the bottom of my sleeve. Like it's like a greenish circle orb. And people say, well, they're coming from the sun, but I was like, well, it piqued my interest because I just discovered this like a couple of days ago. Like I said, I found the Emmett Till green orb, dancing orb thing was interesting. I discovered that when I was editing the video to acknowledge his birthday on July 25th. But I saw this orb thing appeared in a couple of these pictures I took in front of Al Capone's home. That's his mansion in Chicago that he lived in with his family. So I could show. Let me see. And Al Capone, I always had a fascination with Al Capone. There has yet to be a movie that's been done. Like popular culture really has not told the actual story of Al Capone. He was a unique individual to me. He was a life path 9 like I am. If you know anything about life path 9s, we are humanitarians. We believe in we the number 9 is completion, right? The beginning and the ending. The ending and the beginning. That's 9. 9 is completion. So he was a life path 9 like I am. We believe in giving and promoting people. Al Capone did a lot of things to help black musicians that he doesn't get credit for. He did a lot of things to help black musicians. One person I think of in particular is I can't think of Walter Barnes. Walter Barnes, the great Walter Barnes. I'm gonna talk about him soon. But he did a lot to help the black musicians. Like, a lot of black musicians were able to eat because of Al Capone. He controlled the nightclubs. A lot of nightclubs in Chicago, and well as outlying areas like Cicero, Illinois, which was a infamous sundown town where black folks could not be there after sundown outside. But Walter Barnes was his favorite band director or band leader. He was a black man from Vicksburg, Mississippi, but he was truly a Chicagoan as well. But Al Capone really looked out for him when I believe Walter Barnes is credited in some places as being the first person to integrate the Chicago radio, like to be on Chicago radio as a black person, and as due to Al Capone, from my understanding. But I just want to share that picture. You look at the bottom, I got my Ida Wells shirt on, but you look at my sleeve, on my right sleeve, at the bottom, there's that circle. And I went to Al Capone's home before I went to the Emmett Till's grave site, excuse me. So I want to keep it moving. Let me see. Also, let me show one of my ancestor walls, right? Altars. Y'all, some people call them altars. I got an ancestor wall. You create your own religion. Create your own religion. Your best spiritual practices. What works best for you? Because I get a lot of help from dead people. Because I can't explain some of the favor I get. Because a lot of people that's living, they tell me no all the time. They don't respect what I do. They dismiss what I do. But it's always like the so-called dead people that really reach out from beyond the grave to really look out for Brother Ron, because I do things from my heart. I do meaningful things. I'm not trying to mislead people on purpose. I'm not trying to exploit people. I exploit everybody. I'm an artist. We manipulate and exploit as artists. But it's for the greater good. So, but I get a lot of favor from beyond the grave. I know that already. The universe, so God helps a brother out. I want to share this picture of one of my walls that I got set up. It's kind of like my righteous ancestor corner. People got altars. I got corners. I'm an artist. So this is like a wall. You coming into my place, you'll see that on your right. And I want to talk about the images and people that I show in this wall. If you look at, let me see, you see that mother and child, that Madonna and child at the bottom on the easel. I actually did that in high school. I'm gonna see if I can make it bigger. Can I make this bigger? Is it possible to make this bigger? Mm, okay, there you go. Damn, Universal God is something. Made it bigger. So with that image at the bottom on the easel, that's a Madonna or mother and child I did. That's when I started really getting into my own style. I discovered my style, the way I do art. There's my unique signature style. So that image helped me get full scholarship rides to places like RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, Maryland Institute College of Art. I won awards and stuff. It was AP Art. No, I just started creating no type of images. Like, I was the most talented person in my art class. I was in the Kappa program, this public school program called Kappa, Creative and Performing Arts. I was in that program since middle school. And I was in high school, and I always could draw. I could draw since I was 2 years old. I had speech issues. Like, you talk about the great James Earl Jones. He didn't speak for 8 years because of his speech impediment. And you wouldn't think that person with such an iconic voice would have had speech issues. A lot of our great orators had issues with communications when they were young. So it's funny how God works. But I had speech issues. I couldn't talk that well. So I was in speech therapy for all of my pre-K and elementary years. I was in speech therapy, which is interesting. I can't stop talking now. But I was in the creative and performing arts program. I went to Colonial Middle School. Then I ended up going to Overton High School, which was around the corner, basically. And I remember one day my mom had this conversation with me when we was on our way to church. And she was saying, I don't know how you're going to go to college. We don't got the money, da, 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 da. I said, I started thinking that Sunday, now what type of talent, what can I use to give me an advantage and an edge in getting into college and hopefully getting some scholarships. So I started basically just diving into my art. I started believing in myself more than my actual teachers would believe in me at one point. I remember when I had try out to go into governor school. The governor school, our program was like a summer program. You focus on certain things like for the gifted, and so I went to the governor schools for the arts, which was at Middle Tennessee State the summer of '97. But we had to do a tryout, and the tryouts was at my high school in the gym over the weekend, and I just knew I was gonna get in. And my teacher's like, "No, I hope you don't get your expectations so high, Ron. You may not get in, and I'm gonna get in." And then, like, I had the gift of gab, as you all can see, and I showed them some of my work. And so I went to governor school. A lot of talented kids that summer, but somehow I stood out among all the people. Like I just had my own way of being, as you all can see. So I carried that on, but like that piece down there, that Madonna and Child really was a game changer in terms of me discovering my style. But I was fascinated about Renaissance art of like El Greco is one of my heroes, the great Renaissance artist El Greco. And also I love Picasso. I mean, I go to at governor school, did me a great job, exposed me to El Greco. I did some printmaking, wood cutting and stuff. And also I got a greater appreciation for Black American artists. And I fell in love with people like Bob Thompson, Jacob Lawrence, Charles White, Lois Jones, Archibald Motley. I love them. The ancestors who were brilliant, but they really kicked my art to the next level going to governor school. So I ended up getting a full ride to Washington University in St. Louis. I was accepted on the spot at the National Portfolio Days, at least the art part, because I was thinking about Rhode Island School of Design. Then I met Georgia Bennington. She talked like this, Georgia Bennington. She saw my art. Is we gotta get you. We gotta have you, Ron. We can't let you go. So that's the rest is history. I went up the lazy river, up to St. Louis, Missouri, and went to WashU. WashU, yes, right. Washington University in St. Louis. Oh yeah. So I got that piece as a powerful. I actually got it back from my high school. I had donated that piece before I left school. And I feel like 3-6 Mafia. I'm the most known unknown. Now everybody know about 3-6 Mafia now. Everybody want that Memphis sound, and everybody want that. But you remember, like, they had the album called The Most Known Unknown that came out right before they won the Oscar, whatever. It's hard out here for a pimp, that stuff. But that sound been around for years and years and years, and they used to sell their tapes out of their trunk. Now, if you told them guys back in the 90s, they were selling on DJ Paul, Juicy J, and all them selling tapes out the trunk. They're gonna be like winning Oscars and winning all these Grammys because everybody want that Memphis sound. That sound is very unique. They probably wouldn't have believed it, but they believed in themselves. They put money on themselves. And what got me through a lot of these times was believing in myself more than anybody think. I should have believed in myself. That would help Kanye West, his belief in himself more than anybody else can see. Because like Dick told me, put the magic glasses on. You can't force nobody to see what you see. That's the universe. It's a blessing and a curse. But really it's more of a blessing than anything because it forces you to deal with the authenticity and the uniqueness of you. So talking about, okay, you look up the wall behind that Madonna and Child. I got a mask. I got that from Cozumel, Mexico, when I was attending a destination wedding. And I actually stayed in the city. I didn't stay on the resort. I stayed in the city. It was interesting just being among them people in the city and getting that good, good tacos, whatever. But I got that mask from there back in 2016. Above that mask is my drawing I did of Sister Thea Bowman. She really look out for me a lot spiritually. I'm gonna talk about her as well. Sister Thea Bowman is on her way to being recognized as a saint in the so-called Catholic Church. She really advocated for Black American culture and contribution to the church. She died relatively young at the age, I want to say about 52 years young, if I'm not mistaken, back in March of 1990. She's actually the real inspiration for the movie Sister Act. Because what happened was Harry Belafonte saw her being interviewed by Mike Wallace. She convinced, she was such a charming figure. She convinced Mike Wallace to say, "Black is beautiful." He said, "Say it, Mike. Black is beautiful. Black is beautiful." So he said it, and Harry Belafonte said, "Who is this woman?" So he actually wanted to do a movie based on her life. It fell through. But I believe that the movie Sister Act was inspired by her amazing story, because not only was she a advocate, a nun in the church, an advocate for black people, but she had an amazing singing voice. It had operatic range. She did a couple of songs before she died. And it's an album. You can listen to Sister Thea online. You can stream Sister Thea Bowman's music. But she's the inspiration for Sister Act. And she's been buried in Memphis since she passed on into a righteous ancestor since 1990. She's buried in Elmwood Cemetery. And it's a very amazing space to be. I call it Sister Thea's place, where she's entombed with the remains of her uncle and amazing parents. She was the only child of her parents. And she confessed her faith early on. She actually went to Wisconsin, La Crosse, Wisconsin, to join this the group of nuns. She was the only black person in that nunnery or whatever. But we'll talk about that. But she was amazing. I think she got a PhD. She was a master teacher in so many ways. And to the I guess to her left, my sister Thea is Robert F. Williams. Robert F. Williams was an amazing civil rights figure and black power figure that the powers that think they be don't want you to know about. Robert F. Williams was over the NAACP down in Monroe, North Carolina. Used to get in the shootouts with the Klan, him and his people. They had a gun club. The sisters knew how to use guns. His wife, Maybelline. Is it Maybelline? I think it's Maybelline Williams. Oh my God. I can't but anyway, his wife, them knew how to use guns. The man they knew how to do martial arts and everything. He was a former Marine. And he took on the system. Like, it was this kissing case where these two young black boys got in trouble for kissing this white girl kissed them. They won their class. They were little kids. Like, the white girl kissed the boys, and the boys got treated like adults, like they violated this white girl. And they basically threw the book at these boys. And what Robert F. Williams did, which was brilliant, this was no social media back then. He did a letter writing campaign, and it got a lot of not only national attention, but also international attention. And it brought a lot of shame to the state of North Carolina. So they let them boys go. But like I said, Robert F. Williams is getting in a fight with the Klan. He's getting in gunfights with the Klan. And he got his car and house shot up so many times. Actually lost his insurance company, dropped him because he used to get his cars and stuff and house shot up so many times. But what I love about Robert F. Williams is that during a race riot, he actually saved the lives of a white family. But the state accused him of kidnapping the white folks. He let them go once the riot ended. But they accused him and his wife of kidnapping these white people. So they had to leave not only the state of North Carolina, but also the country, because they was like on the FBI most wanted list. J. Edgar Hoover put them on the most wanted list. And what I love about the story, before I even knew about my family connection to Robert F. Williams, see, it was my cousin, Julian Mayfield, the great Julian Mayfield, who was a speechwriter for Kwame Nkrumah, the president of Ghana. His wife was the personal physician for Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois when they lived in Ghana. His wife saved the life of Dr. Maya Angelou's son, who got in a real bad motorcycle accident in Africa. She saved his life. That's my cousin-in-law. But her husband is my blood cousin, Julian Mayfield. And he got Robert F. Williams and his people out of North Carolina. They used his car to escape America. He drove down to Canada. They was able to get to Mexico. Then they got to Cuba. He did a thing called Radio Free Dixie. He was broadcasting from Cuba to try to get enlisted black soldiers in the military to lead an insurrection against the United States. Like, he was trying to get the military black people to overthrow the United States government by broadcasting from Cuba. Him and his wife ended up moving from Cuba. There was the guest of honor to Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. My cousin actually met, I believe, Robert F. Williams when they were celebrating Cuba's successful revolution. My cousin, met Fidel and Che Guevara and all them. And he was also trained by Paul Robeson, the great Paul Robeson, my cousin. But Robert F. Williams and his wife, they went to China. They was a guest of honor of Chairman Mao over in China. And this was happened. This will happen. The State Department, I believe, reached out to him. They wanted the intel he knew about China. They want to know what he knew about China. So he wanted to make a deal. If I tell y'all what I know about China and all that, I want to come back to America. Because you got to think about it. Robert F. Williams was friends with Malcolm X and Dr. King. He had wrote a book called Negroes with Guns that y'all should read. It's available online on Amazon, whatever. He didn't agree with the philosophy of Dr. King, but Malcolm X, he liked what Robert F. Williams was doing with the gun clubs and the way he was organizing. So when Malcolm died and all that stuff, and they got King, the last man, and he got Medgar Evers in '63. Really, like the last person that people really was looking to lead the revolution was Robert F. Williams. He was with RAM, was a Revolutionary Action Movement. That's a Black Power organization, or was, but he was overseas. He wasn't in the country because had he came back to America, they probably would have threw the book at him and put him in prison for football numbers, him and his wife. So what happened was he wanted to come back home. He wanted to properly defend himself. So he was working with the government, behind closed doors to make a deal. He finally came back home. He was defended in court by William Kunstler, one of the great lawyers of the 20th century. William Kunstler defending him. He won the case. Him and his wife were able to get employment. They moved, instead of going back to North Carolina, they moved up to Michigan. And they got some really good jobs at the University of Michigan because of what they knew about China. They knew a lot about China because of living there and being guests of the state of China. And the intel that they got from Robert F. Williams helped Richard Nixon to normalize relations between the United States of America and China. And they don't talk about that. This black dude from North Carolina was able to help Richard Nixon normalize relationships between the U.S. and China for trade purposes and stuff like that. I think Richard Nixon was the first sitting president to really visit China, if I'm not mistaken. And that's because a black man who was trying to get back home helped the government out. And so when Robert F. Williams died, I want to say of, I don't know, it was leukemia or some form of cancer, back in October of '96, they had his funeral, his homegoing in North Carolina. And guess who did the eulogy for Robert F. Williams? Y'all probably surprised. It was Rosa Parks that did the eulogy for him. And she just said she was a big fan, believing what he stood for. And there's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions about Rosa Parks. And her people were Garveyites. She came from Garveyites, And that's another story for another day. But he's on my altar wall, my ancestor wall. And then I brought at the top of that wall, it's a piece of art I brought from a brother that I saw doing an art festival here in my residence. It says, "I stand in my divine power," and I do stand in my divine power. Like I said, a lot of things I get is not because people want to help me; it's because I'm having help from the other side, from the universe, so God and the ancestors. People say, "Well, do you miss Dick Gregory?" I said, "Dick Gregory talks to me every day in different ways. Dick Gregory constantly talking to me. He's very excited about what's going on." He said, "Man, I was just 8 years off about his own. It's 8 years later. It may not be an election. If something happens to Trump, they're gonna shut this thing down because people cannot. People, it's not business as usual. It's a different spirit in the air." But Baba Dick always talking to me in his own way. So on that wall, I got pictures I did of some horrific events in our Black history, our Black American history, that doesn't get enough talk about. And we got all these so-called Black media outlets and stuff. We don't talk about all the hell we caught as a Black people. And a lot of us don't want to talk about that because it's so traumatizing, but we need to talk about it and overstand. Because how can you make a case for reparations and whatnot if you don't understand or understand what we came through as a people? You don't know whose your people is. How can you make the case for reparations and restitution? So at the top was a drawing I did, black and white, ink pen, white out marker. I said black and white, but black ink pen, I love using whiteout and marker. And it deals with the Fort Pillow Massacre of 1864. This happened during the Civil War, the American Civil War, April 12th, 1864. You had 300 U.S. colored troops, white Union soldiers, and even black women and children were massacred by the Confederate forces led by Nathan Bedford Forrest. And people said it wasn't a massacre, but according to the people that was riding home, the Confederate soldiers that were involved, they said it was a massacre. It was a congressional inquiry into what happened at Fort Pillow. And Abraham Lincoln said in the May of 1864 that it was a massacre based on the reports. And even Confederate soldiers involved said it was a massacre. And you had black soldiers that could not surrender. They would not allow U.S. colored troops to surrender because they saw them as traitors. Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation that came out January 1st, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves in the southern states. It did not free the slaves. So, like, the Confederates said, a lot of them said, instead of us taking these traitors back in as prisoners of war, we're going to kill them. And so the troops couldn't surrender. So, like, they tried to, but you got these horror stories of black men being bayoneted as they running away, getting shot in the face, getting set on fire, being buried alive. And people say it's an over exaggeration. No, this is coming from primary sources on both sides of what's happening. It was so many people got killed that the river ran red. The Mississippi River turned red like some Kool-Aid. And so many black folks getting killed. So I've been knowing about the Fort Pillow Massacre since I was in elementary, not because the schools taught me. It was because my grandma, Hattie Mae Taylor, who's a righteous ancestor, she had this old 1970s edition World Book Black History Encyclopedia, which was one volume. And I was able to read about not only the Fort Pillow Massacre, but I learned about Emmett Till, Medgar Evers, Paul Robeson, Burt Williams. Learn about a lot of things that they don't teach in school. School is not qualified to tell you who you are. Your village and your people, you need to know their roots. And I just had that book. I would spend hours just reading through the book after school in elementary, getting out and then soaking up the information from the elders in the family. So I knew about the Fort Pillow Massacre. And I knew what that statue meant on Union Avenue and Nathan Bedford Forrest for years. They just took it down. But my thing is, you took down the statue, you changed the street name after him, but across the river, there's Forest City, Arkansas, majority black population, home of federal penitentiary. He was the father of private prisons because after the war, Nathan Bedford Forrest had he was very big in prison convict labor. Like he used enslaved black convicts to create harvest on President's Island, which is an island between Memphis and Arkansas. He used slave labor, black convict slave labor, to make a profit. He founded Forest City, Arkansas. That's the birthplace of Al Green, the Right Reverend Al Green, but also that's where T.I. spent some time for those federal gun charges over there in Forest City, Arkansas. And what's interesting about Nathan Bedford Forrest is that one of his descendants, as Umar Johnson would say, Dr. Umar, is none other than Douglas Turner Ward. Douglas Turner Ward was the founder, one of the co-founders of the Negro Ensemble Theater Company. He just passed away within the last several years. But this organization trained some of the greatest black talent of the 20th century. I guess you got to think about people like James Earl Jones, Denzel Washington, Samuel Jackson, Louis Gossett Jr., Angela, the one that the one that did Tina Turner. That's her name, Angela. And everybody's mama, everybody's Black History mama. Well, I can't think of people right now. I'm just blind. I know Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett. Okay. All these great folks. Cicely Tyson came through the Negro Ensemble Company. And Nathan Bedford Forrest was Douglas Turner Ward's grandfather 3 or 4 times removed or something like that. So anyway, he looked like Nathan Bedford Forrest in blackface. But anyway, the bottom painting at the bottom of the Fort Pillow Massacre painting is my tribute to the Rhythm Club fire of 1940. It's called the Maestro's Last Dance, and the person in the white is Walter Barnes. That's Al Capone's. That was Al Capone's favorite band leader in the white, and he was a hero. I'm gonna tell you why. The Rhythm Club used to be in Natchez, Mississippi. Natchez, Mississippi got a lot of hunted history. If you into like hunted history and Black history, Natchez, Mississippi, which is not that far from the Louisiana border, is a great place to visit. Because I could talk about the Devil's Punch Bowl. That's another story for another day. But we went to the grounds of what used to be the Rhythm Club. But this happened back on April 23rd, 1940. April 23rd is my birthday, where you had this fire, one of the worst building fires in American history. It's still in the top 10 of one of the worst building fires in American history. We had a whole bunch of Black people get killed because allegedly somebody sprayed some insecticide on some decorations. They had Spanish moss as decorations, and allegedly somebody lit a mat or a cigarette, and the Spanish moss sprayed with insecticide caught on fire, and a whole bunch of people died that night. Not just people got burned up to death, but people got stampeded to death because it was only one way in and one way out that night because they didn't want people trying to get in for free. And so they only had one way in and one way out. A lot of people got stumped to death, suffocated. They found people trying to hide in refrigerators. They died. Man, it was sad, but it was like a lot of young Black people died. You had whole families wiped out in one night at the Rhythm Club fire. It was over 209 people died. You know, he had whole Black families. These were young people, like in the late teens, 20s. That was really sad. Look at the Rhythm Club fire in 1940. But I did that picture. Walter Barnes, like I said, he was from Vicksburg, Mississippi, but he was a Chicago star. He actually used to write a column for the Chicago Defender when Al Capone went to prison for income tax evasion. That's one of his biggest benefactors or sponsors went away. Then the Roaring '20s and you got the Great Depression. What he did was he found spots in America where Black folks can go and have a good time and not be bothered by Jim Crow racism and white terrorism. So he was like, one of the founding fathers, I guess, of the modern Chitlin circuit, where he would talk about places you go around the country as a Black person to enjoy yourself. Like, you had the Green Book coming of age, but his column was very good in informing Black America about places where they could feel safe and celebrate. But unfortunately, what happened to him, he took that Rhythm Club gig at the last moment. He was coming from being on vacation in Florida, and he was working his way back up to Chicago. The act that was originally scheduled for the Rhythm Club ended up canceling because they had a gig I think at the Apollo Theater. So he took this gig at the last moment. And so, I mean, the stage was set in the back of the club. So he knew that they were not going to get out, the band. So what he did was like kind of like akin to the musicians on the Titanic as it was sinking in the movie. They were playing to try to keep people calm. So what he did was, we're going to play to keep people calm and orderly because everybody was panicking. People were trying to get out in that one door, and people was piling up. Bodies was piling up against the door. He had a tin roof. That thing was cooking. That whole thing was cooking. But he played a song called Marie. It was a popular song. And they said the last thing they heard from the bandstand was this musician, this trumpet player named Paul Stott. He hit a high note, and that's when the roof caved in on the band. And that's what that. So most of the band, I think maybe somebody might have survived, but most of them perished. And Walter Barnes had a hero's funeral up in Chicago. He had about 15,000 people come out to his funeral. This is back in 1940. It's before World War II. So yeah, a lot of people come out to pay their respects to Walter Barnes. A lot of blues and jazz musicians did tribute to Walter Barnes. Even Howlin' Wolf, I love Howlin' Wolf. He did a Natchez burning. Did you ever hear about the burning down in Natchez, Mississippi River town? So he did a song. Walter Barnes, man, and he's forgotten about. But he died a hero, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, so I think about that. It happened on my birthday. I had a chance to visit the actual site on my birthday weekend back in April of 2021. So also, of course, I have Jimmy Lunsford back there in the poster I got. They did an award program honoring Jimmy Lunsford back in the early the 80s at the Peabody Hotel, and got another thing, a little display says faith. So I think I told enough, but I didn't even get a chance to touch on all the things I want to talk about because I got to end this show a little bit early. And thank y'all for y'all. I mean, I'll do a part 2 of this. It's a lot to cover. So I'm trying to think. You know, I always got stuff going on in my head. You know, I keep hearing footsteps, baby, in the dark. Oh, in the dark. I keep hearing footsteps, baby. And let me talk about Sister Thea. I did talk about Sister Thea. Let me talk about this miracle that happened for me. And then I'm gonna leave it at that. How about that, y'all? I'll leave it at that. It's like that. It's like that. Yeah, it's like that, y'all. Gonna leave it at that. So let me play. They got a Sister Thea thing set up. So we all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. I want to get more black people to visit her grave. People that work at Elmwood Cemetery told me that's the most requested grave. They got people from all over the world visit that black woman's remains in South Memphis. Once she become a saint, I believe they're gonna move her back to her home state of Mississippi. Maybe put her in a cathedral or whatever down in Mississippi. She's from Canton, Mississippi. She died in Canton, Mississippi, but she's buried in Memphis because folks had, I guess, they had their plots in Elmwood Cemetery. She lost both of her parents back in '84. That's around the same time she was diagnosed with cancer. So that's a lot to take in. But she ended up living for 6 more years. Did not waste one moment of her life giving back, doing speeches, singing, doing everything she could to uplift God's name. Was a teacher down in Mississippi as well, too. But let me try to find. Okay. I'm gonna play this and then I'm gonna end it with an explanation. I'm gonna get out of here. And I hope y'all have a great night. We're gonna play this. Thank you, Universe Soul God and Sister Thea Bowman for coming through for Brother Ron once again. You have helped me heal myself. Thank y'all. Divine intercession is real. Thank you so much for healing me. I went to another situation, but God is good, and all the time, God is good. Miracles are real. We are all miracles. We are all the roses that grew from concrete. We ain't supposed to be here, but we supposed to be here. We all be in it to win it. Today's date is the year of our righteous ancestors and universe soul God, September the 8th, 2024. Okay, y'all, let me see. Let me stop there. Kind of stop it short before I was supposed to, but I was at there. I know one of my longtime watchers or listeners, supporters, whatever. They said, "Was that Brother Ron? That was very disrespectful for you to pour that orange drink, whatever that was, on her soul like that." My thing is, I mean, she's still alive. It didn't hurt her. I mean, I put some caramel popcorn at her grave. I always bring something to honor the ancestors with at these resting places. Sometimes I take dirt from the grave. I actually sent some dirt of Sister Thea's to other people around the country, helped them out tremendously receiving that dirt. And that's another story. And I talked about it before. But that particular visit, I was thanking her and other like Emmett Till and even Al Capone, other people, and the Universal God for their help in healing me. See, I had a setback with my foot, and I'm type of dude. I love walking, being active, but I should have been staying off my foot as it healed, and it prolonged the situation where people were getting kind of concerned, and so what's interesting. I started hearing I'll get messages from whatever voices, a voice, whatever. This is what you need to do. Now, I remember I went to Sister Thea's grave. It was around Christmas time a couple years back. The doctors called me real late. I was just coming out of Hobby Lobby, looking forward to doing some artistic stuff. This is back in December of 2022. And the doctor called me, or the doctor assistant called me. This is late in the evening. I'm about to give me a Jets piece or whatever. And said, Mr. Hurd, we are concerned about some elevated levels as it relates to your kidney function. There's something going on with your kidneys. I said, something going on with my kidney. Why would they call you during the holiday season and say, we can't see you at a certain date? We're going to get you a kidney specialist to be seen. I said, man, ain't this something? Like, why are they telling me this? And it's the holiday season. I shouldn't be worried about this. And I remember I went to Sister Thea's grave, like maybe a day or so later, and I meditate. And it's funny when I go to these graves, I'm sure it happens everywhere to everyone, but the wind starts picking up. The wind starts gushing and stuff when I go to these places. And I went to her grave to pray and to ask for help. And it was funny because, the sun started beaming bright. I could feel like it, I guess it's the sun, some type of intense heat. And I was praying and meditating. I heard this voice, a female voice. It was a faint voice. And it was telling me this is what you do. You want to, make sure your kidney functions are normal. This is what you need to do. So I took the advice of the voice I heard. I wasn't afraid, but it was no woman, but I heard a woman's voice at her grave. And so I talked to the kidney specialist. Now I did what she told me to do, this voice. I did it. It sounded crazy to do, but I did it. I talked to the kidney specialist around the beginning of the new year, I believe. I think I did the test because we had some miscommunications going on. And I told him that I heard that I could do this and that. He said that's not the good thing to do. That's not the best thing to do for your situation. So they did the blood work. They did what do you call that? They scanned my stomach. What do you call that? Now ultrasound. They did ultrasound, ultrascan, whatever. It's ultrascan. Did the blood work. So I did all that. So when I came back for the next appointment, the kidney specialist looked at me and said, "I don't know what you did. I don't know what happened. This is your your kidneys are fine. I don't know what did you take in. I didn't take none of the. I don't understand how your kidneys could look like this because the stuff I saw from your doctor had this going on, but then you come back, there's nothing on your kidneys are just fine." I said, "There you go." So I went to Sister Thea grave to pray about some things. I go to my grandparents' grave, my maternal grandparents' grave to pray, and always be some wind gusting, some intense heat. I don't care what the weather is, be an intense heat come out on me, and I get something answered. And I pray for other people, but I pray for myself first and foremost. Sometimes I go to church mausoleum where Robert Church Sr. and his family are resting. Maybe Robert Church Sr. was the first black millionaire of the South. When I have money issues, I'm trying to figure out how to make some money happen. I go, I'll bring a lunch, maybe a cheeseburger or some chicken. I will eat, I'll pay my respects, and things happen. I remember one time somebody was telling me, they asked me where I was at. I said I'm in front of Robert Church grave, meditating and eating chicken. They laughed at me. They ain't laughed like they was so. Why you always hanging out at these cemeteries because they're not dead places. It's places where a lot of energy, unrealized energy, could be tapped into. And so, I said, I pray for people. I pray for you. She said, you pray for me, huh? I said, yeah. I ain't gonna make her forget. Like, you should call me back a couple of moments later. She said, what did you do? I said, what do you mean, what I do? Did you pray for me? I said, yeah, I prayed. She says, I ain't gonna never doubt you again because something happened. Like, she got some very good news after we talked because she was trying to be dismissive. Now, I took this young lady to Sister Thea's grave to pray for her and all that stuff before. But I'm just a conduit. But my thing is, I'm trying to make, like, when y'all listen to this on replay, it might sound crazy. Brother Ron's weird. I am weird because I'm myself. And Dr. King said that human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. So I'm proudly creatively maladjusted. I cannot get attuned to a system that does not want me to be my healthiest version, wealthiest version of myself. Universal God. I believe in God. God is real. And like I said, when I went and I did that last speaking in tongues at Sister Thea, I want to thank her because I had some issues with my foot. And when I went to Chicago, I had issues with my foot still because I love walking 10,000, 15,000 steps a day. But that's bad when you got like a wound on your foot. At the bottom of your foot, I'm basically walking on a hole. So I did what I was told. I heard this voice. And then what was weird, I went from having like this hole, it disappeared. Like in a matter of a day or 2 days, it was gone. I was dealing with this for months and it just disappeared. It filled up. I said, what the heck? I went to sleep when I was like, not this, like, it was crazy. Like, I was about to go see, I could feel, okay, it still got, it's still kind of, it's open. Woke up the next morning, it was sealed, it was closed. Everything was flat out. I like, whoa, what happened? So I got to give praise to the righteous ancestor because the marathon continues. Thank you so much for y'all listening and caring and taking it in. I know this is a weird show, but I promise myself I'll do as many shows as possible for the remainder of this year. And hopefully, if this has been a blessing to you, feel free to donate to the Cash App R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2. You could PayPal, Google Pay, or Zelle support R2C2H2 at gmail.com. That's R2C2H2 at gmail.com. You can Vimo your support at R2C2H2. You can Apple Cash your support 901-299-4355. You can actually join our Patreon, patreon.com/weallbe. If you want to send in a tax deductible, donation, this is the place you send it to. I'm gonna show you. Go to Attention Ronald Hurd II. Make it out to the We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. Once again, go to Attention Ronald Hurd II, the We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you make a donation, tax deductible. It's a win-win. It's a Kamala. Tax deductibles, everybody. You better thank a union member. Okay, I'm enough of that. But anyway, y'all take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. Also, you can wear Artemis art. Go to the website R2C2H2's place. You see how it's lined up. Support the arts and the artivists and a good cause. You know what I mean? All right, take care. God bless. And the best is yet to come because we all be in it to win it. One love, man. One love.